Hello and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. We've spent a lot of time talking about and working on our inner selves. Today, for a fun switch up, we're focusing on our outer selves as we discuss glowing and youthful skin, skincare trends, plus business lessons with cosmetic medicine educator, speaker, and key opinion leader, Dr. Amy Chahal. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Steph. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so honoured to have you, and that's quite a title. I really don't know how you even fit me in today. You seem to have a lot going on, and
There's
business owner as well.
there's usually a lot going on. Yes, there is, but I do think it's really important to be here to help educate people. There's so much noise out there. I understand that people can feel really, really overwhelmed by skincare. There's too many products, too many trends, mixed messaging, and my mission is really to simplify, bring intention, safety, and evidence into a space that gets so much hype.
That's fantastic. And you're spot on. So when it comes to sort of the inner beauty and supplements, I feel comfortable in that. I feel like my knowledge around that is okay. When it comes to outer skincare, I have no idea. I just, whatever people recommend to me, I try. It's not something that I'm ever been that comfortable with. And I now work for myself and don't have colleagues, but I was working for a wellness company, The Beauty Chef, and they're all gorgeous young women there who know everything about skincare and they would give me all their recommendations. Now that I'm not with them, I'm like, I really need this episode today because I'm really feeling out of touch with skincare. And I feel like there's a lot coming up on my Insta feed. We'll get into all that. So it's so great to have you here to not only give me tips, but to educate the listeners as well. Could you please start by telling us a little bit about your career journey and the successful businesses you currently own?
Yeah, sure. So I actually originally grew up in Canada and moved here in my early 20s for medical school. That was up in Queensland at UQ, and that was an interesting
Wow.
time. So I
Where in Canada were
obviously
you born?
Toronto. Have you been?
Oh, I haven't. I have a very close friend I met in Italy on a Kentucky tour who lives in Ontario. And I do plan to go one day. My husband, when we met, he was on a footy tour in Toronto and he thinks it's the most magnificent place. So I'll definitely
It's a
go one
good
day.
place. It's a good place. I'm still
Yeah.
very patriotic.
Oh.
I try to wind little bits of sort of home into even my interiors and the offices. I'll have a little shout out to Canada.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. And when we were on that tour, I found that the Canadians and the Aussies really meshed well. Like the Canadians almost felt closer to the Aussies than the Americans. I don't know why. We just felt more chilled out than
we're both
the New
Commonwealth
Yorkers.
countries, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And yeah, so I came out here in my early 20s. Medical school was in Queensland at UQ. That was an interesting time. So I was super busy studying and then training. So I think one of the assets that I have in this industry is that I spent a lot of time training in medicine and surgery. So that
Ah,
respect for surgery and anatomy really gives me a deep understanding of tissue planes and safety and why so many easy promises in aesthetics can go wrong. And I just bring that integrity and fundamental understanding to basically both of the businesses. And I think it's why I was able to build them up to what I have.
wow, that makes sense. It does seem like one of those industries where the focus is really on the safety now. Let me start by asking, what are some common beauty errors we might be making that could be damaging our skin? And do you feel that when it comes to skin treatment, less is more?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think with so much noise and so many trends, and anytime you open up Instagram or TikTok, you're just bombarded with influencers and the latest trend, all of the hype. I can understand again why it's so confusing for people and why sometimes not understanding that tailoring your skincare routine and your treatments to your specific biology and skin type and history is really, really important. So I'd say one of the biggest mistakes is overloading the skin, doing too much, too many actives, too many serums, cocktails, and that aren't really letting your barrier settle and heal. And this can backfire and lead to inflammation, sensitivity, rebound. So, and also lead to a lot of frustration for people, I think. So
Yeah, I
again,
was going to
just
say frustration for you. I bet when you open social media and you see a new influencer with a trend that they're not educated in, do you get very frustrated? Like, no. Do
I
you feel the
do.
need to comment on the post?
Look, no, I like to sort of operate as a smooth operator in the background. I'm
You
not.
seem that person.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to sit back, but it is incredibly frustrating for me. And again, my job with my patients is to sit down and educate them, and just having that opportunity when they're in front of me is probably where I, you know, get my get my little word in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it is. There's so much hype and noise, and there's no credibility in with a lot of these people. And that's just something for the general population to be aware of.
Yeah, but I really like how you said it's sort of simplifying it. It's the same with inner health, like inner beauty. This every time I talk to biohackers and that we're overcomplicating it, and you're taking things that may seemingly be good, but they might not be good for you specifically. So I really like how you have that tailored approach to the person's biology, because no one's skin is the same. Everyone's skin is so different. So it's really important to get advice from someone like yourself. Speaking of social media, my Insta feed is so filled this year with sponsored posts of beef tallow,
Ah,
LED masks, the
no.
ones that you wear, the face roll. I mean, and yes, I've bought all of them.
Yeah,
The
okay. Well,
face
you're
roller
naming,
that lights up. So,
yeah.
in your professional opinion, which trend should we be investing our money into, and what's the next big thing in skincare, do you think?
Yeah, look, you're basically naming all of the ones that I would say stay away from. There's no
Really? Beef tallow.
rigorous, yeah, there's no clinical data. Beef tallow is great for your diet, for a healthy dietary fat source, but other than that, um, it doesn't really belong on your skin. It's not going to give you a flat belly. I think that was going around for a little while. Oh no, was
Oh,
that?
really?
Yeah,
No,
I think, or was
castor
it
oil
oil?
in the belly
Castor
button.
oil, that was
Yeah,
it. I
I
think,
didn't I
yes.
didn't do that. I was like, listen, I draw the line at putting things in my belly button. I think I've gone too far. Because you know what else? The morning routine. I have a 1-year-old son. If I don't get this stuff done before he wakes up, it's not getting done. My morning routine gets longer and longer and longer. Doing the dry brushing and then the scraping on my thighs. And I'm like, I can't add anything else into my beauty routine. So the more simplified, the better.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And that's that whole less is more thing, right? So that doesn't mean doing nothing. That means doing the right amounts at the minimal effective dose, right? So
okay.
using one or two or doing one or two great rituals in the morning that are effective and tailored for you, that's going to work out a lot better than 10 random trends and things that might not be quite so tailored for you.
Right. So the LED masks, the rollers with the lights on them, no value or no clinically proven
Yeah. So when it
value.
comes to the at-home LED masks, I'd say they're not hurting you. Look for the ones with the best clinical evidence. So there are ones that are better than others. Things like jade rollers and facial rollers, they feel nice. If that makes you feel good, go ahead and do it. It can be a
Mm.
very temporary lymphatic drainage that happens. Again, just very temporary. It's not really something that's going to impact you long term and be part of your long term skin health game, which is how we should really be looking at things, right? There's no
Yes,
quick fixes.
sure. I didn't get onto the gua sha bandwagon quite so quickly, but I'm in the middle of a very heavy period at the moment. I did it this morning, and it definitely helped with the lymphatic drainage.
A little bit,
This is
yeah.
actually a very odd week for me to be recording this episode because I had pigment laser removal this week, so I'm looking a bit splotchy and a little crusty, but that's okay. We'll try.
I think you look great. I was like, huh, my lighting
My
is terrible in
pig
here.
my pigment is
Yeah.
so bad lately, especially since having my son, but that's okay. We can't look perfect all the time. Well, for all the listeners, I'm gonna get into your tips, but towards the end. So we'll hold that there. But that's really good advice to hear that. What are your top tips for taking care of our skin in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond? Because I imagine me at 42, it's very different to what a 25-year-old might do.
Yeah, definitely. So look, your 20s are that golden era where you have a lot of collagen and your job is to protect it and obviously preserve it as well as you can. So what does that actually look like and what does that actually mean? So my non-negotiable in your 20s is a really great daily SPF. Okay.
Mm.
Ideally 50
God, I
plus.
wish I did that right away.
Yeah, yeah. It's the thing I would have whispered to myself as well if I could go back in time. The great thing in Australia is that sunscreens and SPF are regulated by the TGA, and they have really strict protocols for what they allow to be on the shelves. So if you are reaching for an Australian labeled sunscreen that's SPF 50 plus, you're doing well.
Okay. Are you concerned about chemicals in them? Do you recommend natural ones, or what's your take?
Look,
I get
yeah,
conflicting.
it's so interesting that there's so much controversy right now around sunscreen. At the end of the day, the UV in Australia and the skin cancer rates are
Epic.
astronomical. You know,
Have you
it's a
noticed that coming from overseas? Because if I'm on holiday in Europe, I'll sit out in the sun all day. I come here 10 minutes in Australian sun and I feel like I'm burning. It's so different.
absolutely, you can feel the difference in the sun here. Also, I probably attribute some of my skin health now at the age of 41 to having grown up in Canada versus what I see here. Yeah, I think I'm just at a baseline a little bit better off because the sun was not as harsh as I was growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look, sunscreen is non-negotiable, guys. At the end of the day, think of it as sort of a risk analysis. What's
Mm,
going to do you more harm at the end of the day? Is it going to be
yes.
potentially a skin cancer diagnosis or
I think Zoe Foster Blake said something like that when she came out with the Nifty 50, because I think she was sort of pro. I don't know. She changed her mind, which is okay to change your mind once you hear new research. But I think that was sort of the path she was going down. And I think, as you say, the skin cancer rate, it's just not something I'm willing to risk. So yeah, even my son, I haven't done the natural one on him. I've done the normal one, and I'm reading all different things, and I'm just so confused as to what to do. But he's got very pale skin. My husband and I are both quite pale. I'm half Italian, and that just completely skipped my generation, the dark skin. So I'm very concerned about my son being out in the sun too much.
yeah,
So
yeah,
SPF in your 20s.
yeah. Look,
Anything else in your 20s?
yeah, absolutely. Everything's holistic. It's all about lifestyle as well. So healthy habits make a huge difference. How we're sleeping, how we're hydrating, our diet, avoid smoking, manage your stress. I know it all sounds so easy, and everyone says it, but
Listen,
it's
I'm
just such a
laughing
huge
because in
thing.
my 20s, all I wanted to do was drink and smoke, and now I'm just like, no cigarettes even in the tri-state area, green juices. I'm so healthy now, but in your 20s it's so hard to do that. Like you're in your peak party mode.
It's really interesting though. Did you know that the younger generation is moving away from drinking?
I actually do. I had an episode on what's the word I'm looking for? Sober, doing a sober lifestyle, and it definitely is. The younger generation is not partying like we did. I don't know if it's because they can't afford it because Sydney prices are epic. They're definitely a healthier 20s than we were, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess we're finding that people in their 20s these days are a lot more mindful as well about their health. It's a whole movement
Yeah.
that's come up in the
Yeah, but they've
last
got a lot
in the
more
last decade.
education online. There was no, looking at things online when I was that age. So I think they're getting better education than we had. That makes sense.
It absolutely does. The other thing I would suggest for people in their 20s, maybe their late 20s, is to start building a good relationship with a clinician that they trust. This is a good time to maybe start stepping into some light facials, chemical peels, etc., and just start thinking about your skin health just as you would any other metric of health.
Oh, I love that. And I definitely think those sort of treatments are really good. When I see people getting like cosmetic work done in their 20s, I'm like, you don't need it. It's just so not needed at that age group. You have beautiful skin as it is. And sometimes I think it makes people look a lot older. That's my personal opinion. And it's not nice to judge on that, but I just don't think it's needed. It's not something I did until I was in my late 30s. So, but again,
Yeah, and
personal
again,
opinion.
if you're doing all those other things, if you're doing the right things, you're
Yeah.
probably in a good
I mean,
place.
everything plays a part. Genetics play a part and stuff too. My parents have pretty good skin. So, and what tips would you recommend in your 30s?
Look, yeah, your 30s are that decade where you start to see that slight decline in collagen and elastin. This is when we start thinking about repair and support. So you might want to step up your skincare routine a little bit, start thinking about active ingredients like vitamin C, retinol, maybe some peptides. And this is when we start thinking about bringing in some gentle energy-based device treatments as well. So lasers, maybe some microneedling, You might start to see some early pigmentation, especially with the sun in Australia. And again, this is when hopefully you have a clinician that you trust and you can start thinking about more of a long-term plan.
And I love when you say the clinician that you trust. When we were in lockdown, I missed my friends, but it was my beauty ladies that I missed the most because I developed such a close bond with them because you're in these really intimate appointments that you really do develop a little bond with them. So, yeah, you do want to have
No,
someone you trust. I completely
you do,
understand
you
that.
do. And honestly, I'm so lucky in my job. Most days, it's just like I'm hanging out with friends all day. It's great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Hyaluronic acid
Yes.
serums. Do you recommend those? And which decade would you bring those in?
Look, it can be a bit of a controversial ingredient. There's people who
Really?
feel they're not providing as much benefit as the hype might suggest, and there's people who feel that they might actually be stripping your skin of its natural hydration. I do think there's a
Hmm.
place. I think it's important that if you are using, if you're a drier skin type and you enjoy using a hyaluronic acid serum, go for it. That's totally fine. Again, it depends on the formulation, the molecular weights of the hyaluronic acid, and this is just really getting into the nitty gritty of it. My top tip there would be to then use a moisturizer on top.
It's absolutely my routine because I can't go a day, like every morning and every night, hyaluronic acid serum. I just feel like I look so dry, or I wake up looking old, then I put it on, and I'm like, oh, I'm youthful again. And then I'll do a moisturizer on top and then an SPF after that, and then I'll do makeup. But yeah,
Perfect.
that's good. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that is good. That's you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Okay, good. I didn't think I did, but I've been asking people. But yeah, I just feel I look like a different woman when I look in the mirror after I put those on. I just feel like I look so dry without it. And I, being the European background, was prone to oily skin growing up. I don't know if you've heard of this product. Do you remember something called 1006? Or maybe it was just in Australia. Like when we
No.
used to get off the station at school, on the magazines and the news agency, they used to have like little freebies, like sample sachet things that they would give away. And I remember getting that. And then I would just buy it all the time. It would prevent pimples. So, when you're in high school, you're so conscious of
Yeah.
pimples. And I got like one stray pimple here and there. And my mum used to say, don't put that on your face. You're going to strip your skin, dry your skin. You should be using a moisturizer. Didn't listen. And I feel like it dried my skin out because I used like it would just get rid of the oil, like the oily texture. And I never moisturized when I was young, never put SPF. And it's that old adage of I probably should have listened to my mum. I didn't.
You know what? Moms know best, and they're the first ones who start to
Yeah.
tell you about skincare, right?
Yeah.
That's
Skincare,
interesting.
I'll trust. Other stuff,
But
I'll do my
that
own thing.
product, I do wonder what was in that. It was probably some sort of acid, would be my guess.
Yeah. It looked and smelt like acid. It
Okay.
was
Okay.
very cute purple writing. So, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one thing I'd travel back in time and stop myself from doing more than the smoking. Is there anything else in 30s you recommend? I
Look,
feel like you
I
covered it.
think this is that age where you just really need to emphasize maintenance, right? Hopefully you've
Yeah.
been looking after yourself and you have a good routine and you're listening to all those tips in your 20s like we all do, right? This is the time where yeah, you start to introduce some of those more energy-based treatments and you just really try
Yeah.
to maintain because the goal is to look like the best
Yeah.
version of yourself.
Yeah. I do love needling. I did start getting that a few years ago. All right, girl, come at me. 40s. What should we be doing?
Our favorite, right? This is, I think we're both navigating this right now.
I am so
This is,
shocked. I'll just stop you there for a sec. I thought you were a good decade younger than me. My God, not just your skin, just your whole face, your mouth, and everything. I was very shocked to hear you're a year younger than me. I always thought I looked really young, but I'm like, no, you look a lot
no,
younger.
you look great. You look fantastic. Yeah, look, again, it's just a little bit of everything. I think is, and just having a really deep understanding of anatomical planes and what treatment to put where and when to do it and all of that.
Yeah, like I
So
said,
that's what you want to
Australian.
do.
It's almost as if you're an expert in that field, right? You would hope.
some
I, I would
some would
need
say.
if if I'm going to someone for skin, I want to walk in and see someone with great skin, or I'm not taking their advice.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same as a makeup artist and your hairdresser, right? But anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
your face is your sale. Yeah. All right, 40s. What should we be doing?
Yeah, look, 40s is where we need to start thinking synergistically. So we're thinking about treatment, we're thinking about our at-home skincare, and we're thinking about our lifestyle, and they should all align, right? that combination approach is what's really going to make an impact. We need to think about things like skin laxity and some deeper lines. And so we might shift towards treatments that are focused more on skin tightening. I know
Mhm.
personally that's something that I think about once a year now. The
And what are
goal,
some examples of skin tightening treatment?
yep, yep. So look, there's multi-modality. It really depends on, again, your skin, your anatomy, and which modality will work best for you. Some of the top
Mhm.
treatments at the moment are using things like radiofrequency microneedling,
Mm.
ultrasound, and there's actually newer ultrasound technology now as well. I personally wasn't a fan of some of the older ultrasound technology, but we do now have treatments and devices that I think are really efficacious and safe.
Great. It's
Um,
updating all the time. Every time I go to my beautician, they're like, "Oh, this is new and that's new." Like, but that's great. Like that, it's updating all the time. There's certainly a lot of research in the area.
yeah, no, definitely. The technology that we have now is vastly different from what was available 10 years ago, even, which is great.
Yeah,
Good for us, right?
yeah, good for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then look, so my specialty is minimally invasive treatments, and
Mhm.
late 40s, early 50s is when we can start talking about things like minimally invasive facelifts. But again, I would say in your late 30s and 40s, just really start tracking everything that you're doing. Photos are super important. Anytime you're having a treatment, make sure you're getting standardized photos, and you can use that as a metric to have a look and see how your progress is going, really. And I think that's important. I think a lot of people, they see themselves every day and they lose sight of what's happening and what they look like.
Yeah.
Um, and again, it's just another daily task, not daily, but take pictures, right?
Yeah.
Really
Okay.
start tracking things.
Yeah. I do like that my beautician when they do that because I'm like, no, like, I don't put it online, but it's good to see that progress because then you'll look back and you're like, oh wow, like my skin does look healthier. So yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to qualify that for sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about those minimally invasive procedures about once a year. What other treatments are there that we should be doing on a more regular basis, like facials, hydrofacials? So I get lost. There's so many things out there. And in today's society, you really have a certain amount of money, depending on what financial position you're in, to spend on stuff like that, especially once kids come along, because there's cute outfits out there for my son that spending on me has gotten a little less each time. So what are some things if you've got minimal money to spend on that? What would you be investing on for regular treatments?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, one of my favorite standardized treatments that I think in your 30s, 40s, early 50s, if you were just to pick one treatment for maintenance, for collagen stimulation, um, that would be microneedling, actually. So it's
Great.
safe on all skin types. We have large clinical studies showing us its efficacy. The only thing I would say is it's really, really important to understand which pen is being used. So microneedling is used as a blanket term, and with all devices, not all devices are created equally. So one of the
Mm,
analogies that I use is think of these devices as cars. So you can have a Honda or you can have a Ferrari,
mm,
right? There's different qualities, and then on top of that, who's driving, right? So there's
okay.
different
Yeah.
skills in driving ability, and so
Hey,
the
a
person
barista can make all the difference to a cup of coffee. So you're not
well,
wrong.
absolutely.
Mm,
So a lot of these things are operator dependent. So again, find somebody incredibly qualified that you trust. Um, and regular microneedling is hands down. If I had to pick one treatment for the rest of my life, that would be it.
it's that. Great. And I really like that it's like to me not that invasive. I'm not putting anything fake or chemical in my body. And there's some that you can do pregnant and some that you can't, right? Because when I was pregnant, I couldn't do the one that had some sort of numbing agent. But there was another one I could do because you get so concerned when you're pregnant that I'm like, oh my God, it's a whole 9 months. There's only so many things I can do for my skin, but there are some you can do, right?
Yeah, look, again, it needs to be a conversation with your doctor and
Right.
you. There are some treatments that would be okay in pregnancy. It would
Mm.
just have to be that trust and that conversation that you really need to have before embarking on anything.
Sure. And when you say regularly, is it a quarterly thing? How often should we be doing
Yeah,
it?
again, if you're doing all of the right things, you've got the lifestyle to match, you can probably get away with quarterly. Every 2 months is a nice little litmus. And then
Okay.
and then if you did want to do something monthly, that's when I would start looking at your facials and your hydrofacials.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, nice. It's nice. Do you do things to yourself all the time? I feel like if I worked in your industry, I would just be thinking, what can I do to my face today?
Do you know what? I'm probably one of the worst patients ever, which is probably why I haven't gotten too crazy. I don't know. I have the most amazing staff and I do trust them and I do let them do treatments on me. But when it comes to some of the things that I'm more competent in, I it's not very often that I'm in the mood to try those.
Yes. My dad's a hairdresser, and when he goes to get his hair cut, because there's certain things he can't reach on his own, he doesn't tell them that he's a hairdresser because he goes, I don't want to make them nervous or make them they might do a bad job, but he's watching them so carefully. That's hilarious. Um, this is the question I really wanted to ask. What does a typical daily skincare regime look like for you? So in the morning, in the evening, what are you doing for your beautiful face?
Yeah, okay. So look, again, I'm a busy person. I have a really busy lifestyle. And what I really like to subscribe to the minimum effective dose policy. So that means the core essentials. So for me, that's cleansing, barrier support, and antioxidant, and then of course my sunscreen. So in the morning, and this is mostly in summer where I'll make sure I do a morning cleanse. So sometimes in winter, I have a bit of a drier skin. The morning
Yep.
cleanse isn't quite as necessary. If I'm cleansing, I'll cleanse, and that's with a gentle cleanser that's non-stripping. I would then go in with my antioxidant, and I switch between a vitamin C serum and more of a compounded serum that has a few different antioxidants in it. Then I'll go
Okay.
in with my moisturizer or barrier support. So something with ceramides, lipids, or peptides. And then on
Yep.
top of that is my sunscreen, which is obviously a good SPF 50 and completely non-negotiable. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Night routine, go.
So again, I keep things pretty simple at night. I do wear a light amount of makeup during the day most days. So I will do a cleanse or a double cleanse. Sunscreen as well through the day builds up. So that nightly cleanse is super, super important. I then think about my retinol, okay, or maybe a growth factor. So I do like to alternate between the two. You're right. Some people can't tolerate their retinol every night.
Okay.
And when I'm starting people on retinol, I usually ease them into it. So that's a couple of times a week at night. You might be sandwiching that with your moisturizer as well to help with irritation.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, you're placing your hydrating or barrier support product as well.
Great. Good. Okay. Oh, vitamin C, like an antioxidant, that's only in the morning. You wouldn't do that at night, right?
You can do that at night. I tend to only do it in the morning. If you love it and it's doing great things for you, you can do it twice a day.
Okay, great. I feel like I'm sort of on the right path. This is why I've been asking all my friends for advice. So it looks like I've gotten the right advice because I do a pretty similar routine to that. Can you please talk us through the rise of the skincare sommelier and why personalized skin advice is the new luxury?
Yeah, absolutely. So just as a wine sommelier would tailor your wine selection based on your taste and history and palate, skincare should also be curated, not random, not based on trends. The clinician in front of you prescribing your skincare should take into account your individual skin, your history, where your goals are headed for the future. Your budget is important. So I know it's easy to say do this, this, and this, but it is actually possible to tailor plans and skincare based on your budget. And again, working with that minimum
Great.
effective dose, right? So you don't need to do more, you just need to do better, basically. So I have actually created a brand new space for Sydney called FutureSkin. I'm sitting in it right now. And the whole concept behind this was to put my amazing dermal therapists at the front of house. So you walk in, you have access to curated medical grade skincare. You're speaking to experts. They understand the skincare and your skin. And at the end of the day, personalized advice is luxury because it demands time, expertise, diagnostics, trust. You're not just throwing trends and expensive bottles at someone, it's that whole curated experience.
That's fantastic. And I feel like not only are you saving money because you're not spending money on the wrong things, but you're saving your skin because it's like I was saying, even with your inner beauty or your health, you could be having something that is seemingly healthy, but it might be just the completely wrong thing for you. So I feel like that tailored advice is always just worth every penny. So we will tag your beautiful business, Future Skin, at in the show notes for everyone to have a look at as
Thank
well.
you. Thank you. I really
Whilst
appreciate
we're
that. Yeah, sorry. I'm just so proud of this space. It was so intentionally designed and built, and I'd love for everyone to come check it out. There's no space like it in Sydney, I promise.
Oh, that I love. I'm all goosebumps. I love hearing people so proud of something that they've created or that they've achieved. Like that makes me so happy. When did you open the doors there?
So we very quietly soft launched in July, and I don't know if anyone's ever opened a business before, but I felt like I had just given birth to a child. So I felt like I had given my everything to just design it, plan it, get it done, and get the doors open, and I was absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
It
No, but
was
it's your baby. I used to record music and I used to say exactly the same thing. Like it felt like, you know, writing the song was, the baby growing inside me, and then recording it was like the birth. And seeing something that you've created from the inception come to light is really, yeah, it's taxing, but it makes you just feel very proud of your achievements. So it's great. You're quite new there, so that's really good. I'll be sure to pop out and check it, and we'll put everything in the show notes so everyone do be sure to check them out. Whilst we're on the topic of business, what have been your most valuable business lessons and how do you make time for yourself in between work? Because this show is all about filling up your cup, so that's very important.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I think, to stay grounded while running two businesses, you absolutely do need to find time for yourself and to fill your cup. When it comes to business lessons, I would say one of the main ones, and one of the ones that I think have kept me where I am and brought me to where I am, is that integrity is non-negotiable. So patients, they can sense when you're being real, when you're being genuine versus hype. And over time, that integrity, it will build trust, referrals, word of mouth, and longevity in your business. So for me, that's an absolute
Absolutely.
non-negotiable and probably one of the biggest lessons that I would pass on.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in an era where there's reviews. I mean, and it's if something's got your name on it at the end of the day, you want it to be of the utmost quality. So integrity is super important and authenticity as well. As you said, people can definitely sense that. People who have their own businesses, and my husband and I run our own business, and very often it can be really hard to to delegate and let go because I like to. I don't know about you, but if it's my name on something, I want to do everything. Even when I worked for other people, I just want to do everything, but you can't physically do everything. Did you find it hard at first? I mean, having the right team is essential. Once you've got the right team, it's easy to let go of the reins. But did you find that hard at first, allowing other people to do work under your name, thinking that it's not exactly how you might do it?
Absolutely. In fact, the people I'm working with now are probably listening to this and they're like, what is she going to say? Probably still have a little bit of trouble letting go. But
Yeah,
the key thing is just having that all-star team around you, finding people that you trust. Um,
yeah.
but yes, in the beginning, it is very hard to let go.
It is. But, and that sort of culture trickles down from the top. And if it's your business and you're really passionate and care, it's going to trickle down and they're going to follow that through anyway. So sometimes it's just leading by example. That's what I've noticed when working for others for sure. Speaking of filling up your cup, we're going to end by
Yes.
asking what's something that you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup. But also let's sort of hone into on what sort of things you do when you're taking you time. What do you do to fill up your cup?
Yeah, I do like to try to, walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So I try to live a reasonably healthy lifestyle. I am a little bit of a gym buff. You'll often find me about 4 days a week, sometimes five if I can swing it at the gym. And for me, lifting heavy is really important. So as we age, bone density is a huge thing. And in terms of longevity and
Absolutely.
health span, I think it's so important to stay strong. So, and I do find that it clears my head. So if I don't make it to the
And it
gym for a
feels
few
good,
days.
right?
It
10
does,
minutes
it
into that
does.
workout, you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If I have a couple of days where I haven't made it and then I go, I feel so much better.
Yes. Yeah. The stress
Yeah.
eases for sure. Mm.
So that's really important for me. Those that have been following me for a long time and have been to the clinics know that my dog Enzo is often by my side. So,
I love that. Very Italian.
yes, yes, he's a little cutie. And
What
getting
breed
out
is
for
he?
walks. He's a cavoodle, but he's a very, very cute one.
Oh, they're all
Um,
cute. I love cavoodles.
they're all cute. They're all cute. Getting out for walks with him, and and just the unconditional love that he gives is really important. And then again, a lot of people know this about me, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but I do like to race cars. So next week,
I saw that.
yeah.
Crazy.
So I'm actually at the racetrack next week, and it's one of my most favorite things to do. It just allows me to, use all of that precision and accuracy and that side of my personality to excel and be the best that I can be. And it's just probably a weird hobby for me to have, but it's one of my favorite things
I love
that I
it.
do to fill
I
my cup.
I gotta say, I would look at you and nowhere on the list would that be on there. Like you wouldn't think it, but I love that you do that. And I think everyone needs to do one thing that's very random and without like a specific purpose, just because it feels good. So that is absolutely the definition of filling up your cup, doing something like that. So I'll keep my eye on your socials. That's so awesome. I'm so impressed.
Well, it's my favorite thing as well to kind of, do things that people don't expect and then also to show up the boys. So that's always good fun.
Listen, that's the whole point of why I love lifting heavy. Like, I would never join an all-female gym. I love to compete with the boys, and they look at my calves and quads, and they're so jealous that theirs aren't as big.
I love that. Kindred spirits, right? Yeah.
Feels good. It really feels good. And what's something you'll be doing in the next week? Is the car racing your cup
Yeah,
full
yeah.
ahead
I'm
of
at
the
the
curve?
track next week. So yeah, keep your eyes on my socials because I'm sure I'll post something about it. It's such a good time.
I will. You are so badass. I'm so impressed. Loved our chat so much. And I really appreciate your advice because that's something that I want to know for myself, but for the listeners as well. Like you said, it's really good to just to get that professional advice and not be overloaded with just online content that's not, a bit baseless and not research. So really appreciate you being on here today. And everyone do check out everything in the show notes and please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.
Thanks so much for having me. Look, and I would just say to keep it simple, skincare as healthcare. Okay, it's just as important as any other modality of your health and minimal effective dose. So keep it simple, keep it tailored. Don't listen to the trends and the noise. And I'd really love to see you guys at either of my clinics.
Great advice. Thank you so much.